Warpugs, here we are. SCP-001 episode, I have no idea, but this one is on 610. It's the flesh that hates. Guys, if you have been with me throughout this journey, thank you for coming along. I have been more than glad to share this with you guys. Mr. Illustrated has done an amazing job with this. We now are caught up, as of the end of this, with the When Daybreak story. And I cannot wait to see where we go from here. Check the description down below for Mr. Illustrated's links, as well as my own. Not going to say much more. We're just going to get into this. Every time I come to the end of a series that I've been catching up with, or has been out for a bit, or something like that, I feel kind of this, I feel kind of like, I don't know, it's like a sadness, but I know this one's going to continue. Yep, and there's a cat with me. If you guys don't know, I'm babysitting my mother-in-law's cat. Let's not say anything else, let's just get into it. SCP-610 When Day Breaks. The flesh that hates. Hold on a second. I actually had this part right here muted. I don't know why. I'm a boomer. You guys know this.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to the next When Day Breaks covering SCP-610, The Flesh That Hates, a heavily requested cross encounter. A thank you to the patrons and members who keep this channel, bugger off. A quick word from today's sponsor, go away. A quick word from, fucking
Let's see what he's doing
Last time
here.
I just touched on NordVPN's threat protection, and damn does it deserve a bigger shout out. Every website you visit is gouging and scraping and collecting every bite of information on you that it can. This includes things like your name, your location, your interests, your hobbies, what you like looking at online, and what you like spending your money on, and all those other little things that make you an individual. Websites and companies then use this information to target you with tailor-made adverts and content that they believe it's going to make you part of your time, but more importantly,
Description down below,
your
guys.
cash. NordVPN's threat protection includes an anti-track feature that blocks all data
Since it's
scraping.
on the flesh that hates.
Look here. You can see that just by using Google and YouTube, I have blocked more than 100 different trackers from trying to monitor my activities and gather my information. NordVPN's threat protection also blocks malicious websites. It scans downloaded files from malware, and it even blocks intrusive pop-up ads. Just open up NordVPN, hit the shield, turn on threat protection, and that's it. Your device is protected. Use my link below to save 60.
I think my red lights are going out. Looks like it. My red lights are going out, guys. Well, it is what it is. Let's keep going.
65% on the 2-year bundle plan. You get 4 months for free, and you even get a 30-day money-back guarantee. Give it a go. Use my link below and go and enjoy all the amazing benefits of using NordVPN today.
It will be down in the description below.
Several layers of clothing were not enough to keep out the cold sting of the Argentinian winds as Maiko made his way up the mountain. A small X on his map directed him forwards. The entrance had to be around here somewhere. His late companion had been very specific. He'd heard she worked at a secret facility, working on superweapons and viruses. Apparently deep in the mountains was one of those facilities. It was so secure that they'd be safe from the flesh indefinitely.
Okay.
Sadly, she hadn't made it this far. He followed the X. Before long, he was staring at 2 great concrete blast doors stuck in the side of the cliff face. They had been forced open. Great. Maiko felt his hopes diminish. All this way, and that security he had been promised was gone. The flesh had obviously found their way here before him. He couldn't very well turn back now. His supplies were depleted. He would have to go in and hope that the flesh had long since left. The stench of death and decay wafted over Maiko as he ventured past the entrance zone and into the corridors. All the rooms were either pitch black or brilliant white, and filled with various pieces of equipment, straight out of a CSI TV show, with some science fiction tech for good measure. He entered an open room and began flicking through the paperwork on the desk. It all seemed to be related to something called SCP-610.
Oh boy.
Maiko was haunted by what he read. Contagious skin disease, life functions will cease, grow at rapid rate. Maiko's eyes went wide in shock as he read further. Features start to disappear, growing 3 or more limbs. Additional branches of flesh will grow. Was this what caused all this? Had they weaponized this virus and it got out? No. That wouldn't explain the sun. He set down the notes and left the room. He was getting sidetracked. He peered through the glass.
The Flesh That Hates is one of those SCPs that I have a particular affinity for because it was one of the more screwed up ones that I got introduced to first. And I have quite just, how is this going to interact? The Flesh That Hates how is it going to interact with the actual flesh?
Into a dark room. A full vending machine sat on the opposite side. He leapt a foot in the air as the computer came to life as he entered the room. A video began playing. It showed an elderly man sitting in front of a camera. He looked terrible. The dark bags under his eyes contrasted with the fresh blood splatter across his face.
Nice.
I must be quick. The flesh broke into the facility. Containment was compromised, and the virus got loose. This is no mere 610 strain. This is a weaponized variant, commissioned by the Council and genetically engineered to be self-sustaining. It is in the very air around us right now. The flesh is in here somewhere. They are looking for us, and they sound in pain, I think. I think the virus might be affecting them too.
Oh no.
If you are hearing this, then action
The Sarkidids are going to be thrilled about this turn of events.
must be taken, or the virus will take what the sun did not. Find the...
Maiko fell backwards, landing noisily against the table covered in beakers and trays. He began scrubbing and patting down his arms.
Sorry,
Was
Brett.
it on him? Maybe it was in this room. He quickly stepped back out of the room and ran towards the exit, covering his mouth, but his way was now blocked.
You're dead.
A humanoid construct began to form upwards from a puddle of meat on the floor. This was not the flesh, or at least not entirely. Bones and sinew and limbs were appearing. A mouth appeared and let out an agonized cry. Maiko yelled, turned on his heel and sprinted further into the facility while the creature continued to scream after him.
No.
Another creature came from around a corner, blocking one of the corridors. This one was sporting 4 arms, a limp, and also screamed at him with a pained cry. It lumbered towards him with its arms stretched out like a beggar. Maiko sprinted down the adjacent corridor.
No.
Faces began bleeding from the vents, the cracks beneath the doors, from the electrical sockets. All of them screamed at him. He felt something wet grab his leg. He fell hard on the ground and turned to see the half face of a man staring at him. Its mouth opened wide to reveal another face coming out of it. This one female and younger.
No.
100 voices cried, blood spilling from between the cracked teeth. Maiko frantically pulled out a can of deodorant and his lighter. He shot a burst of improvised fire at the creature, scorching it. As the creature rolled backwards, Maiko rushed to his feet and sprinted into the maze of corridors. Maiko sat in the chair and wept. The tears fell onto his itchy, scarred arms. Be it the virus in the air or the creature that touched him, he was infected with the virus. The one place he figured would be his salvation was now going to be his tomb. He fought back to the message on the computer.
Or the virus will take what the sun did not.
If this virus got out, then the last few pockets of humanity would be in jeopardy. Even the flesh itself would meet its undoing. Evidently, it was causing the flesh a great deal of pain and suffering. At least that was a silver lining. Maybe there was something in this facility that could destroy the virus for good. There had to be final contingency measures or protocols to deal with a loss of containment this big. He stood up and studied a floor plan on the wall. The security station was 3 floors down, a good a place as any to start. He pushed open the door and made his way down the stairwell. Maiko descended slowly and quietly. He kept hearing the odd scream echo off the walls, originating from one of those pained flesh creatures miles from where he was. He stopped to scratch the growing rashes and scars now spreading across his chest. That file said it could take anywhere from 5 hours to 5 minutes, and this was a more aggressive strain too. Time was short. It was only when he turned his attention away from the incessant itching that he noticed small pockets of blood and meat now beginning to appear, anchored to the wall and the floor. Mouthless, eyeless, deformed faces were turning aimlessly, without purpose, as he descended further. He stood on the landing of level 3. A barely legible arrow behind the gore read security and pointed towards the door. Maiko scratched his arm again and yelped in shock and pain to see a whole chunk of flesh come away with his nails. The wound oozed a dark liquid. He did not have long. Maiko pushed open the door and entered the hallway. Maiko held himself as he shakily walked down a tunnel of flesh. The walls, the floor, the ceiling was lined with people and gore, all fused into one. The faces wheezed and cried as he went by them. None of them seemed capable of movement and were instead anchored to the concrete. He could see the security room doors just ahead. As he looked at his arm to assess the infection, terror gripped him as he saw his fingers webbed together, while more was starting to grow out from his palm.
Lovely.
His other arm was swelling up to an inhuman size as well. He felt something forcing its way up his throat, and a large amount of blood and solid matter came spilling out onto the floor.
Lovely.
He cried at the sight of it, trying to imagine which organ he had just coughed up.
You don't have long.
Maiko looked up to see a head talking to him. It had the face of the man he saw on the computer monitor. He limped closer. He tried to reply, but the words would not come. Just more blood.
The virus has taken the flesh for itself. The
610 is officially...
virus bound us, but the flesh would not let us die. The corrupted has been corrupted again. And now we see the truth. The sun's eyes have been opened.
A renewed sense of disgust filled Maiko as the echoing screams of the distant flesh sent fresh shivers down his now crooked spine. More blood flowed from between gaps where his teeth once were.
You will join us soon.
Things began to suddenly grow dark on Maiko's left side. His head felt heavy on his shoulders. He reached up to discover a hard lump beginning to swell on his temple, his eye socket lost to the mass.
The control room. The purge failsafe. End it all. Let us be at peace. You don't have long.
The face turned and
You better
disappeared
run,
into the
squirrel.
gore. Maiko smashed in the glass of the security doors with his new clubbed arm. He reached in with his many-fingered hand and removed the bar through the door handles. If he still had his nose, a smell of stale death would have filled it. Two skeletons sat slumped against a control panel on the other side of the wall. A single pistol and 2 spent cartridges lay beside them both. He limped towards the control panel and vomited up more of his redundant digestive tract. He wiped it away as best as he could and saw the security panel covering the purge controls. Another swift pounding from his club revealed the primary activation handle beneath. It was so simple. Pull the handle up to detonate the strategically placed thermobaric charges set around the facility. The support columns would shatter, the site would fall into the void, and the mountain would collapse and seal them in. Without hesitation, Maiko grabbed the handle and pulled it so hard it broke away from the console. He smashed into the ceiling as the whole room fell into fire.
Good on you.
From a distance, a sinewy, corrupted eyeball watched its former place of work and residence fall into the fireball. Small limbs then sprouted and carried it away. And finally, the ground grew still. The shaking stopped and the dust settled. There was nothing to be seen and nothing to be found. Just the mountains. The snow-capped peaks stood tall as the monuments to a mass grave that would never, ever be found.
.610 was worse than the flesh. Why am I not surprised about this?
And that concludes this cross encounter.
Why am I not surprised about 610 actually being worse than the flesh? I don't know why I expected anything different. The 610 was one of my first real experiences with a horrible, horrible SCP. And I have never really forgotten it. Guys, as we come to the last episode that is currently out for When Day Breaks, thank you again for joining me through this. That guy was screwed from the outset. I'm glad it doesn't have a happy ending, but it does have an ending. So, the flesh is going to stay away from certain parts of Russia like its life depends on it, because technically it does. And I'm just wondering what the Foundation was thinking when they transported the flesh from Russia to Argentina. But that's neither here nor there. Foundation doesn't necessarily do the smartest things sometimes. Guys, Mr. Illustrated has done a fantastic job here. Go by and check out his channel. Links will be in the description below. And this playlist will be updated when the next When Day Breaks gets released. I can't wait. If Mr. Illustrated checks us out, congratulations, my friend. You have done great things. Now it's time for me to set up the release of something for tomorrow. Well, technically, when you're watching this, I'll have already released it. Until then, I'll catch you guys next time.